Ever wondered what lurks in the darkest corners of the human mind? What would it take to face true evil and come out unscathed? Well, that's the kind of unsettling territory we're diving into today. Before you even consider cracking open The Silence of the Lambs, we're here to give you a glimpse behind the curtain, a sense of the brilliance and the darkness that await.
Think of it as a sneak peek, a chance to decide if you're ready for this particular descent into the abyss. No spoilers, we promise. Just a taste of what makes this book such a phenomenon.
So, what are we dealing with here? At the heart of it, we've got Clarice Starling. She's an ambitious FBI trainee thrown headfirst into a case that'll test her in ways she couldn't imagine.
Her assignment: to interview the infamous Dr. Hannibal Lecter, a brilliant psychiatrist turned cannibalistic serial killer. But he's not just locked away. He's a resource, a twisted oracle the FBI hopes can help him understand a new and terrifying killer.
This new killer, they call him Buffalo Bill, and he's got the whole country on edge. What sets him apart? He skins his victims, leaving the authorities baffled and desperate for answers.
And that's where Hannibal Lecter comes in. The FBI, led by Jack Crawford, believe that Lecter's unique insight into the criminal mind might hold the key to unlocking Buffalo Bill's motives and stopping him before he strikes again.
Now, the mind behind this macabre masterpiece, that would be Thomas Harris. What's fascinating is he wasn't some recluse writing from an ivory tower. He was a crime reporter for the Associated Press, up close and personal with real-life crime across the U.S. and Mexico.
The Silence of the Lambs was actually his second foray into the world of Hannibal Lecter. He first introduced the character in Red Dragon back in 1981, but he didn't stop there.
Nope, he went on to write Hannibal and even a prequel exploring Lecter's origins called Hannibal Rising. But Harris's work goes beyond the cannibalistic doctor. He's also penned Black Sunday and, more recently, Carrie Mora.
What adds to the allure, at least for me, is that Harris himself is notoriously private. Very few interviews, rarely in the public eye. It just adds another layer to the mystique surrounding these chilling stories.
So, if you're even remotely curious about The Silence of the Lambs, but hesitant to commit, this deep dive is for you. We'll cover the major themes, the critical acclaim, the criticisms, and what other readers have taken away from the book.
Consider us your guide through the maze of opinions and analysis. By the end, you'll have a solid grasp of what to expect, empowering you to decide if this journey into the dark is one you're ready for.
Now, let's get into the meat of the book. One of the first things that hits you is the way it digs deep, really deep, into the psychology of the characters. It's not just about the acts themselves, it's about what drives them, the darkness that festers beneath the surface.
You're constantly forced to confront the monsters lurking within the human psyche, not just in the killers, but also in those hunting them. Even Clarice, our seemingly unbreakable protagonist, has her own demons to wrestle with.
And that brings us to the relationship between Clarice and Hannibal. It's like nothing you've ever encountered. A twisted game of cat and mouse, a battle of wits between a brilliant young trainee and a brilliant but deeply disturbed mind.
It's not your typical good cop, bad cop scenario. There's a strange sort of mentorship, a dangerous dance where information is currency and vulnerability can be fatal.
All this unfolds against the backdrop of a ticking clock. Clarice is in a race against time to decipher Buffalo Bill's motives, to understand him, to stop him before he claims another victim. That sense of urgency, the constant threat, it just permeates the entire story.
And Harris is a master at building suspense. He keeps you on the edge of your seat, wondering what will happen next, who will survive, and what price they'll pay for getting too close to the fire.
So what's the verdict from the literary world? The Silence of the Lambs is hailed as a masterfully written book and an unforgettable classic of suspense fiction.
That's some high praise, right?
And it's not just empty accolades. The book has had a lasting impact on the genre, inspiring countless other authors and filmmakers. It redefined what a psychological thriller could be. A big part of the book's appeal is its unforgettable characters. Hannibal Lecter, in particular, he's become this iconic villain, both terrifying and strangely alluring. And then there's Clarice Starling, this strong, resilient woman navigating a male-dominated world. There's that chilling line from Lecter. A census taker tried to quantify me once. I ate his liver with some fava beans and a big amarone. Man, that's a quote that sticks with you.
You can't deny the brilliance of Harris's character development. Lecter is a monster, no doubt, but he's also charming, intelligent, and cultured. And Clarice, she's determined, resourceful, and never backs down from a challenge, even when facing unimaginable horrors.
The book also dives deep into the world of law enforcement, the meticulous procedures, and the then emerging field of criminal profiling. Harris actually drew inspiration from real-life cases like Ted Bundy and Ed Gein.
The level of detail, the research that went into portraying the investigative process, it adds this layer of authenticity that really draws you into the story.
Interestingly, many actually consider the book superior to the movie, even the acclaimed one that won all those Oscars. They argue that the book offers a deeper, richer experience.
The novel format allows Harris to explore the characters' inner lives in a way that film simply can't. You get more context, more insight into their motivations, and a greater understanding of the forces at play.
Of course, like any work of art, The Silence of the Lambs has also faced criticism. Some readers have pointed out what they see as body shaming in the way Buffalo Bill's victims are described, particularly the focus on their weight.
It's a valid point. The intention might have been to highlight the killer's warped perception, but the language used has struck some as insensitive and potentially harmful.
There's also been discussion around the portrayal of Clarice and whether it sometimes falls into the trap of objectification, especially given the constant reminders that she's a woman in a very male-dominated profession.
It's delicate balance, and some feel that the book doesn't always handle it gracefully. The question arises whether Clarice's challenges as a woman are highlighted to empower her or to perpetuate certain stereotypes.
Now, here's an interesting paradox. Some readers actually found the writing style a bit boring at times, but still craved more of those intense dialogues between Hannibal and Clarice.
It just goes to show how subjective reading can be. What might feel tedious to one reader can be another's favorite element.
Another critique we came across is that Clarice sometimes comes off as a bit slow on the uptake, especially when it comes to deciphering Lecter's clues.
Apparently, the movie streamlined this aspect, making Clarice appear more perceptive and quick-witted. In the book, some felt that she missed obvious connections, which seemed out of character for someone of her intelligence.
And there was also a comment about the dialogue, specifically whether it felt too clever and masculine even when spoken by female characters.
Some readers felt that the distinction between male and female voices wasn't as pronounced as it could have been, leading to a sense that the author's voice overshadowed the individual characters.
But despite these criticisms, the overall reader response to The Silence of the Lambs is overwhelmingly positive. We're talking a huge percentage of 5-star reviews.
The book clearly resonates with a vast majority of readers. The suspense, the compelling characters, the psychological depth, it all comes together to create a truly unforgettable reading experience.
Many describe the book as disturbing and nerve-wracking, which seems fitting for a story that delves into the darkest recesses of human nature.
The atmosphere Harris creates is incredibly effective. You're constantly on edge, anticipating the next twist, the next revelation, the next terrifying encounter.
Clarice, in particular, is often praised as a formidable character, a beacon of light in a very dark world. Readers admire her intelligence, her strength, her determination to face down evil and emerge victorious.
She's a symbol of resilience and hope, a reminder that even in the face of unimaginable darkness, there's always the possibility of fighting back and prevailing.
The impact of The Silence of the Lambs extends far beyond the world of literature. It brought the figure of the serial killer into the mainstream, sparking widespread fascination with criminal psychology and forensic science.
And let's not forget Hannibal Lecter. He's become a cultural icon, a symbol of both brilliance and depravity. The book's exploration of the criminal mind has influenced countless other books, films, and TV shows.
The debate rages on about whether the book or the film is superior. One reader pointed out that the book delves deeper into Lecter's motivations, revealing that he's not driven by some grand plan, but simply by amusement.
And you get a more nuanced understanding of Buffalo Bill's psyche as well. His motivations are complex, rooted in trauma, and a distorted sense of self, which the book explores in greater detail than the film.
It's also been noted that the book handles the sensitive aspects of the Buffalo Bill character with more nuance than the movie, avoiding potentially harmful stereotypes and focusing on the psychological complexities of his character.
It's an important distinction, and it highlights the power of the novel format to delve into the subtleties of character motivation and avoid simplistic or sensationalized portrayals.
Another interesting observation is that the book really emphasizes Clarice's journey as a student, showing how her thirst for knowledge and her dedication to her studies are essential to her success.
It's a powerful message reminding us that knowledge is power, and that even in the face of darkness, education can be a weapon for good.
Without going into specifics, it's also worth noting that the romantic elements present in the book differ from those in the film, leading to some interesting discussions among readers.
It just goes to show that adaptations, no matter how well-intentioned, will always have their own interpretations, and those interpretations can spark debate and new perspectives on the source material.
So let's talk briefly about the literary techniques at play here. The use of the Death Head's hawk moth as a symbol is particularly striking. It seems to represent transformation both for Clarice and Buffalo Bill, each in their own twisted way.
It's a brilliant choice of imagery. The moth, with its associations with death and metamorphosis, perfectly embodies the themes of change, evolution, and the blurring lines between darkness and light that run throughout the story.
Harris also has a knack for introducing characters through their actions and surroundings rather than relying on long-winded descriptions.
He drops you right into the scene, letting you experience the characters through their interactions and their environment. The opening scene at Quantico, for example, is a masterclass in immersive storytelling.
The dynamic between Lecter and Starling, that strange mix of mentorship and manipulation, is another element that makes the book so compelling.
It's a relationship built on a foundation of intellect and a shared understanding of the darkness that resides within the human heart. But it's also a dangerous game, with both characters constantly vying for control.
And then there's Clarice's constant struggle to navigate a male-dominated world, facing down sexism, prejudice, and unwanted advances. It adds another layer to her character, making her victories all the more significant.
It highlights the challenges women in law enforcement faced and continue to face, and it adds a layer of realism and social commentary to the narrative.
The contrast between Lecter's monstrous nature and his sophisticated demeanor, his love of art and music, it's another layer of what makes him such a captivating, albeit terrifying figure.
It's this duality that makes him so fascinating and so dangerous. He's not a simple monster. He's a complex, multifaceted individual capable of great intelligence and unimaginable cruelty.
And the way the narrative unfolds, offering glimpses into the minds of multiple characters, including the killer, that's another technique that adds to the overall sense of dread and unease.
It allows the reader to experience the story from various perspectives, blurring the lines between good and evil, sanity and madness, and forcing us to confront our own assumptions about the nature of humanity.
And finally, let's not forget the dialogue. It's sharp, witty, and often laced with hidden meanings, particularly in the exchanges between Clarice and Hannibal.
It's through these verbal duels that we truly get to know the characters, their motivations, and the depth of their intellect.
So after all this, who should actually pick up The Silence of the Lambs? Let's get down to brass tacks.
If you're a fan of psychological thrillers, stories that delve into the dark side of human nature and keep you on the edge of your seat, this book is definitely for you.
If you're intrigued by the world of criminal profiling, by the meticulous procedures and the psychological complexities of solving heinous crimes, you'll find plenty to appreciate here.
And if you enjoy reading about strong, complex female characters who defy expectations and overcome adversity, Clarice Starling's journey will resonate with you.
Now, a word of caution. While the book isn't overly graphic, it does deal with disturbing subject matter. It's not for the faint of heart.
But if you're willing to confront the darkness, to explore the depths of human cruelty and resilience, The Silence of the Lambs offers a profound and unforgettable reading experience.
Even if you've seen the movie, the book offers a level of depth and nuance that you might not expect.
It's a chance to revisit the story, to delve deeper into the characters' minds, and to appreciate the craft of Thomas Harris's writing.
And for those interested in how gender is portrayed in media, the character of Clarice Starling offers a fascinating case study, a woman navigating a male-dominated world, challenging expectations, and ultimately claiming her own agency.
It's a story that speaks to the power of determination, the importance of defying stereotypes, and the enduring human capacity for both good and evil.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into The Silence of the Lambs, we're left with a chilling portrait of the human psyche, a story that explores the extremes of brilliance and depravity, and the enduring power of hope in the face of darkness.
It's a book that lingers in the mind, challenging us to confront our own assumptions about the world and the nature of evil.
And on that note, we leave you with this final thought. After considering the brilliance and the darkness within these pages, what do you think is the true measure of a monster? Is it the capacity for cruelty? Or is it the ability to manipulate, to control, to play with the lives of others for our own amusement?
Or perhaps it's the darkness that resides within all of us, the potential for evil that lurks beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to emerge. That's the unsettling question that The Silence of the Lambs forces us to confront. We encourage you to dive into the book and explore those depths for yourself.